Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Deeply Renegade podcast. My name is Molly, also known as the Deeply Renegade, and I'd like to welcome you guys to episode 419. Today is Sunday, July 9th, 2022, and I'm glad you could join me today. It is a sunny and foggy day today, so we'll see how the light turns out. Whatever. I may need to pop up and help with a baby because I put him down for a nap so that I could shower. And I will say that tends to be a pretty effective tactic. Because when I'm showering, I cannot hear if he's unhappy about it. Made coffee, hung out a little bit, and it probably means it's like well past nap time to be done. So we shall see. But I'm guessing this week's episode is going to be short in comparison to last week's. Because whatever, it's been a crazy week. Really looking forward to some relaxation time this weekend. But then I believe it's going to be crazy pants. Right until the point that I get on the plane to go to SSK, and then I will not respond. So not too crazy. Definitely feeling excited about that, even though definitely feeling excited about that. At the same time, I'm sort of checking this project. So this is the Hillary call. It is a Noma Negligible pattern. There we go. Bigger than life knits. I'm knitting it out of Plymouth Vieto as a sample for the Black Squirrel Berkeley. So I'm not keeping this fluff. I may need to vacuum out my bag when it's done. It's a Chainette Construction 70% baby alpaca, 70% bamboo yarn. It has a very nice marl to it. Or the color definitely has a lot of depth, which is cool. So I am in the midst of double checking my pattern row. I got to the end of the row and my count was a little off. And this is probably the wrong thing to do in the middle of a podcast. I'm pretty sure if I got off, it was somewhere on the back side, because I had more markers at the beginning of my project than the end. But that's neither here nor there. So I am almost done with the second skein at this point. So this is going to be a big loop cowl. It has a little bit of ribbing on the bottom, and then it has these this buttonhole stitch, which doesn't look too much unblocked, but then blocked, it will be opened up. So I think and then of course I'm showing you the spot where I rush and joined the ball. So it has this sort of alternating, this alternating mosaic pattern. I think it would be a ton of fun to knit this pattern with 2 yarns so that you could have like little peekaboo buttons. Because it does end up making for a pretty long float. So I would say so even though this is mosaic, you definitely want to have a good float practice on this yarn, or good float practice with this pattern. So, coming along, I think, it seems like every time I pull it out that it's like, oh, that seems a little hot. This probably just has more to do with general stress than it does the pattern itself. as you do. But it's certainly much easier to carry around than the sweater. So where we left off last week with the sweater was that I was trying to figure out how I was going to finish it. And I ended up needing to slightly modify my plan, I think because I'm persnickety. So, and what that basically boils down to is I pulled out a bunch of blue yarn, which I thought would go with this. And then I concluded that maybe I could do gray or black instead, because it turns out that this is a very teal-leaning navy, and I did not have any teal-leaning navy in the stash. So what I have done instead is done the bind off in Volmisa 100% held doubled. So I still have that nice structured I-cord. The black ends up picking up the sort of the glazing in the navy itself. And life continues on. So it's interesting because on for some reason it definitely seems to be like this curve that I have here is on my body too. And then it is rolling a little bit in the big stockinette portion, but I'm not too concerned about it at this point. So I started off with 100 grams of this. I think this is leftovers from my bohas. It'll be interesting to see how much I use. This is good for stash purposes for sure, because using yarn held doubled is a good way to be. So should be fine. I did the bind off, and now I am working up the side. I'm doing, apparently based on the direction I started working from, I am starting from the easier side to do pickups on. The other side will be a little bit more challenging because that's where I was doing my alternating skein changes, which is why I had to do the I-cord in the first place. I have about a yard left over of the yarn, so I'll probably end up reserving that in my bag of leftovers. So it's good to have yarn in reserve for repairs. So not too crazy there. I switched to double pointed needles because it was a little bit tedious working. It's much easier to work I-cord on double points, especially if you're picking up. So the edge looks gorgeous. Sort of wish it was integrated in the sweater, but whatever. We don't always get what we want. So that is the story there. So I'm not done yet. I'm awfully close. Once I finally settled upon using the black yarn, I ended up taking it, like starting with gray yarn and doing some with the black and taking a photo, and it was pretty clear that the black was going to not stand out. It definitely contrasts, but it doesn't stand out in the same way my leftover Volmisa DK did. Maybe I'll throw a picture up on Instagram. Oops. Oh, whatever. I'm just looking at this and realizing I did end up picking up a stitch, but I don't know. So on one hand, it shouldn't take that long to finish doing the I-cord. On the other hand, the knitting time has been quite limited. And the spinning time, like, non-existent. I think I've made 2 bats this week. I still have I still have 9 more to go. Do I have 7? Yeah. So it hasn't been a particularly productive tour de fleece. What would it be? It's hard to believe. Or I was thinking last night about like, oh man, like it's amazing that I got to get out Monday. I got out Monday because I didn't work on Monday. I went to knitting. So it's been a little full on. Thankfully, what would it be? I can get some knitting done in meetings. But yeah, shenanigans. So I don't know. The bats are quite. I don't even know. The sliver. Let's get pedantic here. The sliver is pretty gorgeous. Really curious how it's gonna spin up. Hopefully, I can take some time to do that. If the nonsense continues for quite some time, I might start taking meetings while spinning. Because yeah, that's been a little bit intense. Okie dokie. So that, yeah, I haven't touched Scheherazade. I must admit that it just hasn't been the right project for the moment. So there's that. Yeah, the keen-eyed among you may notice that there is some disturbance in the stash because I needed to figure out the emergency backup yarn. But what would it be? So I pulled out my baggie of Woolmesa leftovers. And it is amazing. You're like, oh, that's such a good blue. You put it up against the other one. It's like totally wrong. Yeah, I don't know what's wrong with me. I obviously enjoy blue on blue on blue on blue, but apparently not that much. Yeah, and then the only thing that's on the horizon right now is living in this project bag, so this is going to be an 1898 hat someday. I think I need to get my spouse's help in designing. Well, designing is too strong a word. Like mostly I just need to pin him down so we can make like a little paper form of his head to mark out exactly where he wants his ears to be on the hat, because it's a integrated ear flap hat, and ensure that he's on board with that plan, because he was like, well, maybe we could do it a little. So that just means can't start the project till we make that little paper form. And basically just like mark out where he's expecting his ears to be, and then looking at the pattern, which is free, and figuring out what their directions are, what their numbers are, and then modifying them a little bit. But it is going to be an excellent stash project. I should get big yardage on it, and it's garter for the most part. It's garter or stockinette in the round, so I think that'll certainly be my speed for a while. So, should be good. Will I need more projects? Maybe, maybe not until I don't know. We could argue that the Scheherazade is an infinite sponge of knitting, but I can definitely get to the point where I need to buy more beads, and then it will not be so useful. um, oh, that's spooky. Oh no, I'm just doing this wrong. I'm like trying to figure out where my error is, or I have like a loose stitch floating around here somewhere. That's also a distinct possibility. Haven't thought about that one. But I'm not gonna be able to entirely fix this one in time. But I'll just break the Okay. Better See the Majesty. This is definitely one that will look better blocked, because right now they just look like little belly buttons or something. Maybe that was the point. So, shouldn't be too crazy. We'll see if I manage to record next week. Like, I will be recording the week after that, so might as well. So, with that, I hope you guys have a lovely week, and I look forward to talking to you guys next week. So, take care, guys. Bye bye.